Hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome. I'm going to give you all a few minutes to join in. Make sure I'm coming through in Facebook land. Hope you guys are having a good Thursday. It's strange being here on a Thursday. But I thought I'd be proactive this year. For those of you that are joining me, I'm starting to see some of you come through now. If someone could just let me know if they see and hear me on the other end, and I'll start getting into my little spiel. I've got quite a little pile of ponies here behind me tonight. Okay. 2 seconds. Of course, Facebook's not going to let me share, right? Oh, wait. This one, and this one. Okay. So if you are joining me, thank you for doing so. Please let me know where you are joining me from. The deals started today, so I was scrambling a little bit and woke up to a higher volume of messages than I normally would through my social media channels. So I thought instead of next week, I'm going to be doing a Black Friday deals live. I always like to go through it can be so overwhelming. Where is it? Is it on Amazon? Is it available in Canada? Is it in the UK? So as Lifepro has grown as well, their product suite, there's lots of ways to access their products. For those of you that are in the US, of course, you can look at your FSA, HSA spending. Amber did a session on that 2 weeks ago, I think. So that's always an option to check out as well. And if you are joining me today and you have plate specific questions, Debbie, should I, get this kind of machine? Should I get that kind of machine? I want to get you away from models a little bit today and talk about, different features you might want to consider, different characteristics, depending on, you physically as a person, are you 6'7" or are you 4'11"? So there's different reasons: plate size, mass, the shape of the plate. Every plate has its own feel. It has its own harmony, its own vibe. And that's a lot of the reasons sometimes people end up with more than one plate. You're using it for different things, different places. So today I wanted to show you, many of you were asking me in particular about some of the new compact plates, what they're best for. And it's never based on a condition. Think lifestyle, what you're using it for. So if anyone is here with me right now, if someone could make a comment and let me know. I hope I'm coming through on the other end. I should be. Hello, Alexis. Thank you for joining me. Does that mean that you can hear me, hon? I hope so. Just give me a thumbs up or let me know that you can hear me on your end. For those of you that have never joined me for a live, where have you been? I'm usually here once a week. Hate to say medically related in a lot of cases. Many of you are dealing with deficiencies. I have specialized in vibration plates for almost 2 decades. I'm a fossil. Hello, Dave. Loud and clear. There's my sound check guy. Thanks, Dave. And thank you, Alexis. And I see there's a few of you here. If you do have questions and you're too shy to ask me today, you can certainly always tag me at Debby with a Y. After the fact, sometimes after I get through my spiel, I've answered your question, or maybe I've planted new ones. So today I want to take just a very brief look at the new models. A lot of people, when you're reading, measurements online, which aren't always easy to find. Some plates are in stock on Amazon. Some are in stock with Lifepro Direct. So I'm showing you that I don't have anything up here today that you can't purchase, but nothing is available everywhere. So I'm going to tell you also where you can get certain models. Thank you, Alexis. Okay, I need some Java. So the first thing to consider when you are purchasing a vibration plate is, what are you going to be using it for? Is this a feel-good thing? Is this a fitness thing? Is this your first machine? Are you living in 2,000 square feet? Do you live in a box? So sometimes, what we get caught up in online as far as the benefits associated with certain models isn't always realistic by the time you get this thing set up in your living room, your workspace. So the first tip is, where are you going to be using the plate? So if this is your first purchase, and you hope to get fit, get strong, this is going to be maybe some feel good and some fitness. My first caution is to not go too small. Too small is very cute. Smaller tends to be portable. It's going to be easier to use in different places around your home. But if you are a taller, larger user, if you progress or hope to progress, sometimes, some little itty bitty thing, when you're doing a bunch of dynamic squats with kettlebells in your hands, they can be unstable. So there are some compact plates that I recommend for different purposes than others. So let's first, talk about size. So, putting it into a workplace. This is something you want to use under your desk. This is your second machine. If you are looking at a workout machine, you're not going to get very far with something that weighs, let's say, less than about 20 pounds. So you'll notice I kind of strategically piled up my plates. So over here, I have the larger Hexaplate, which has bumps. I have the Waver Mini, and I have the Rumblex Plus, so you can sort of get a visual on size. Here, I have some of the newer plates because I wanted to be able to bring them a little bit closer to camera. But you can see visually, they're a little smaller. This is the new Vibra Nano. It is smaller as far as the lineup of the compact plates, but I will say shape of your plate comes into it. This one has, I'm just going to bring it up here. Oh, look at how light. So this one is very square. So even though it is, I think it's just slightly heavier, like half a pound heavier than the Vibra Pulse, this is the lightest in the lineup. So if you're needing portability, if your range of motion sucks, if you want to use it on the bed, the coffee table, the lighter plates are good for that creative wellness or symptom management use. But I wouldn't be stacking a bunch of weights on your back and doing a half-hour HIIT training session on a super compact plate. So this would be, I don't like to give recommended picks just yet. I'm trying to educate you without my preference. But this one would be a little more, if you are a taller user and you do want a smaller compact for the office, travel, you want to use it in different places throughout the house, and you're going to be doing some standing, maybe some light squats, a square plate is going to accommodate a larger foot size. One of the things that I coach in my sessions using oscillating is the main movement. If you have to pick one movement, it's oscillating. That's why all the compacts are oscillating. But you can bring your feet wider for more movement, more intensity, closer to reduce it. So if you do have a larger foot size, this would be probably one of my top choices for larger feet, taller user types, but you're looking for something light and portable because the shape is a little bit bigger. It also does not have any of the therapeutic bumps. And if you haven't watched one of my sessions on the therapeutic bumps, they're not my cup of tea. I'm always very honest with you guys. I deal with too many chronic users that have sensitivities, neuropathy, Raynaud's, and I don't want lack of sensation to cause an issue. Sometimes, next size up, when you step into the hex plates with the bumps, they are a good wellness, therapeutic, seated use type machine. But if you're doing lots of standing, lots of fitness, let me get it closer. The bumps, which do feel really, really awesome as a therapeutic application, but they kind of force you to position your feet here, midway out. And if you're dealing with chronic issues, I'm always encouraging you to bring them a little bit closer. The shape of the plate it's cool looking, but it's not as square as the new Vibra Nano. So even though this is a little bit heavier, a little more robust looking, it's the bumps on the surface of the plate that over time can dig into the bottoms of your feet. Again, they're an awesome desk model, seated use, side of the bed, but I wouldn't, if this is your only plate and you're going to be doing standing, you want to do some fitness, lean towards something with a flat surface, not the bumps, if that makes sense. Okay. So this one weighs in at about 16.5 pounds. When you step up to the hex plate, I wrote this down, so I sounded smart. Oh, I didn't write the hex plate down, but I think it's about 17.5. The Hexaplate Light is about 13.5. So it is the lightest, but it's almost too small. I don't recommend the Hexaplate Light. That's the one model. I don't like you standing on it unless you're like itty bitty. I love it for some of my pediatric, my little people applications, but I don't recommend it at all as a fitness machine. Too light, too tippy. You'll outgrow it very, very quickly with the fitness stuff. So let's compare. This is the new Vibra Nano. It is oscillating movement. It is bare bones. The prices right now are amazing on the next couple models I'm going to talk about. This one is on Lifepro's website. Oscillating means moves like we walk. As I said, if you have to select one movement type, don't listen to what ChatGPT is telling you. It's about oscillating. That's how we naturally move across the floor. It's got the most research. I won't bore you with my details, but there's a reason most plates are oscillating. It's also more preferred for its natural feel. So we're going to step over now to the Cosmo Plate. That's another plate I actually haven't played with a whole lot till today. For those of you that knew I was doing a live tonight, I confess there was 2 of these tonight. I just haven't had a chance to take it out of the box. And I love my first impression is always lasting. So what I like about this Cosmo Plate, I'm very much a basic person, simple operation. I don't want it so heavy that I can't, throw it in the back of my car and take it to somebody if they want to give it a try. So what I like about the Cosmo Plate and don't like, there's 2 sides to every plate. One plate is never the best for every situation. This has a cool feature of Bluetooth speaker. So for those of you that like some of the extra features that come with the Rumblexes, but not the price tag, the weight, and the size of those, the Cosmo Plate is a bare bones oscillating movement. You can see it tilting as I shift my weight from side to side. It is available on both Lifepro's main website in the US as well as Amazon in the US, as is this one. The number one thing I love about the Cosmo Plate is it is a little bit wider. The grip is really, every plate has its own feel. It's very kind on the feet. There are bumps, but just enough to give you a little bit of grip, if you will. One thing I do not like, and it's not a Lifepro thing, it's a manufacturer thing. As the plates came out curved this way, I knew it was a matter of time before they'd start curving this way. I'm not a huge fan of standing super wide anyways. But on this plate, once you get just outside of hip width apart, it does slope down ever so slightly. And for me, I don't like standing this wide anyways, but it does challenge you. It's got a little bit more resistance. It's going to challenge that stability a bit more. What I do like about it is just before the edge tips off, it just feels so comfortable. It is a light plate, but I'm not feeling as tippy because it's just a little bit wider. It feels a little bit more stable to me. What I love for a lot of my older users, vision challenged like me, the glasses, look at the size of the numbers on this display, guys. They're massive. So for my I don't know if you can see it that close. You can't, can you? My lights. But the numbers are like 1.5 inches tall. I love the large numeral display. Sometimes it's the littlest things that make the biggest impression on me. I have a lot of users that when you're on your plate, your glasses can tickle the nose and wobble the face. So the fact that I don't need to wear my glasses and I can actually see what it says, huge win. And this thing is like ridiculous. It's 50-60% off or something right now. So this is the Cosmo Plate. It is basic oscillating movement. It's portable enough. It weighs 16 pounds. So it's very, very light, but it is a little bit more on the wide and square shape size. I prefer square shape just so you can go wider with those feet without losing real estate. This one has a 220-pound weight capacity. The Nano has a 260-pound weight capacity. Depending on which model you're looking at, something to keep in mind. So weight capacity, is important for some people, not every people, but weight capacity is not just the representation of how much you weigh. If you do use accessories, you're adding some kettlebells, some weights, a weight vest, you want to make sure that you consider a plate that's going to accommodate your growth if you're planning on adding some mass to your exercises. So loving these two so far. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to step over to, these are not brand new, but they are newer within the last couple of months. This, in my opinion, even though the Nano plate technically, by one measurement and I think a half a pound is Lifepro's smallest plate, this one's a little bit more compact because of its shape. It's got that oval, so you're not going to be able to stand as wide. This one also has electromuscular stimulation technology. So you can have oscillating movement in this, or it has a separate feature of a pulse of electricity. It's got a really cool, I love the surface of this. I want you to get a close look on that. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. But what you'll notice is you can combine the electromagnetic pulse therapy with your movement. I prefer it on its own when I'm sitting on the couch. This has been a really, to me, a revelation. This is kind of the next big innovation, in my opinion, in vibration plates. And it's been actually a very, very, very long time since I've seen, everything in the last 20 years has been a variation on a theme, different movement types coming into play, but not new technologies like this. This is electromagnetic, like your little TENS, stickers to a degree. So I think for those of you dealing with really severe foot issues, the neuropathy, the lymph, you've got nerve damage, those types of things, this can be an ultra mild starting stimulus point. And once you feel more sensation, of course, your balance and stability and all that's going to get better, and we can work into the oscillating movement. So this is a nice, tight, compact option. The other one, and it almost looks the same at a quick glance. This is the new voice model. So this one, again, loving the plate surfaces. This one's kind of sexy with the chrome in the middle where your display is. This is a vertical moving plate. So unlike everything we've talked about to a point, this one moves completely up and down. Very different than pulsation, which is something on the turbo or any of the Rumblex models. Additional movement types outside of oscillating, think of them more as a feature. It's very rare that you'll find, high performing vertical plates as you would have in the research days 15, 20 years ago. But this is a nice alternative. If you do like simple operation, you don't really want a big machine, but you want to diversify in the type of movement, I think you'd really enjoy not only the vertical movement, it's going to feel kind of like a rebounder, but more controlled, less movement, less amount of more movement, and controlled. You're going to feel very gripped, very solid. It's quite a bit heavier than the Pulse. I think this one comes in at, no, this one's anywhere from 15 to about 18 pounds. Because there are two models. So they're both voice activated. They're both vertical moving. It's the only vertical only moving plate that Lifepro offers. You're not going to see many in the market that compare to it. So this is going to be good for those of you, like I say, that are, liking that rebounding type workout. Maybe you just want to complement to your mini or your oscillating plate now. The other model has a heat function. So the plate of the surface has a heat function, just like a massage gun. And a lot of people, again, dealing with neuropathy, we are getting to that time of year, you may enjoy the heat function as an alternative therapy with that one. So that's going to put a few more pounds, and that one comes in a little bit more, like 18 pounds. The last one I kind of want to circle back to because it's probably the most, I don't want to say the most popular, because there's probably a two-way tie. I would say, as far as what I recommend in my support groups and what I see people using and commenting on, certainly as far as your first vibration plate with Lifepro, is the mini or the Waver. I do not have a Waver right now. The Waver is probably the best all around. You want a little bit more mass. It's got 330-pound capacity. It's got a little bit of a larger base, and as it weighs more, you're going to feel more solid on it. It's going to be a better all around everyone in the family, mom, dad, and the kids. The Mini is a close second. The only deciphering factor sometimes is the weight capacity. The Mini steps back to 260 pounds max capacity. It's a little bit more manageable. So if you want to get fitness, but you want something longer term, you don't want to be buying another machine in 6 months to a year because you bought something just because it was on sale. The Mini is probably my bare recommendation if you want to do any type of standing long-term progressing to fitness. You may not be there now, but that's what I'm here to do, is teach you to get better and progress and improve in your mobility and your strength. But it's very frustrating when you get something too small and then you finally get up on it and it feels a little unstable, and the fear and some of these things that have, you've had to overcome getting active again. So the Mini is going to make you feel a little bit more stable. It's still got a really nice low profile. For those of you working with seniors or those with mobility issues, you don't want something that's 10, 12 inches to step up onto. That's a workout in itself. So that the Mini, even though it gets larger this way, it doesn't get taller. And what you'll find once you start getting into the Rumblexes and some of the more elaborate models is that, yes, there is a little bit more of a step clearance to get up on some of those plates. Why? When we get into some of the other plates, so let's talk about the Plus for a minute. The Plus is the lightest of the Rumblex models. All of the Rumblex models have more movement. So they incorporate oscillating, which is important. That's that base movement. All my sessions are in that. Oscillating, you have more things that you can control. So the intensity, how strong the movement is by the foot position. So you can come closer and reduce it. You can go wider. Same with upper body positions. So once there's a little bit more to understand with oscillating, but it is by far more preferred. It feels more natural how we walk across the floor. There's less head vibes, all kinds of perks. The pulsation is kind of a mini version of vertical. It's very high frequency, so you're moving very fast, the speeds, but the amount of movement, the amplitude is very, very minimal. Even with vertical plates in the market, even though the frequency is there, and many of you are going to make a comment saying, I know, Debbie, I need 30 to 40 hertz for bone density, or I know. No, that's just one study that's being highlighted because it looks really good in a marketing campaign. There are certain benefits that are accomplished anytime you're using the plate. They're not a number. They're just a vibration plate thing. A vibration plate superficially increases your exposure to gravity and all of the health effects with that. It's awesome for the cardiovascular system. It's less impact than walking. And for those of you that are dealing with health issues, poor mobility, it's going to get those muscles to a place of fatigue faster than if you were doing them on the floor where the knees or the hip or the shoulder or the back may have caved prior. So the Rumblex Plus is probably one of two top machines that I recommend in my groups. I deal with a lot of lymphedema, lipedema, and then I deal with a lot of pediatric recovery, rehab, those type of things. They are portable. They have wheels on the side where you can drag it across the floor. But if you get like 6-inch pile plush carpet, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So when you're selecting a machine, part of what I was talking about earlier, now that you kind of understand they each have parameters, they all move basically in the same way. But as you get more features, as you get more movement types means more motors. If you have a company out there saying, well, ours is better because we've got 3 motors, you can sound really smart and just say, no, that's just that you've got 3 movements. Each movement type is one motor, and they don't stack and become more powerful. One motor moves it this way. One motor moves it this way. One motor moves it the third way, lateral. And as they're going, the 3D combination, the 4D combination, these are simply marketing terms representing the combination of 1, 2 or more movements being combined together. And that's where, if you've been using your plate a while, you want to mix things up, you want to feel more, your tolerance is different. Variety is the spice of life. But once you kind of understand the basic dynamics of oscillating movement, it is the most functional. It has the most amount of movement, which is controllable by foot and hand position. That's how far your muscle is responding, in reaction to this movement. So long term, it's going to give you the most functional gains. So what else do you need to know? Here's my other points. So we talked about size, and I had to get into a little bit of a spiel to do that. Size means, maybe to me, how big the unit is. Size to you maybe means how heavy it is. Size to you might mean a representation of your body. So the size of a plate has a big relationship with how you plan and where you plan to use it and what you plan to use it for. So again, each plate has its own feel. That's the reason sometimes, especially when they're on sale with the prices we have right now, it's fun to get another one. I love using a plate as a step, so sometimes, I use 2 plates together, because maybe I want to do some, taekwondo or some martial arts training today. So there's ways that you can incorporate more than 1 plate into your exercise if you have to. You are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion, I always say. If you're getting started, as I said, you've got the plan of maybe moving on towards some fitness, whether it's symptom management, many people use plates for symptom management, moving, feeling better. They make activity possible for many people that even in many cases, if you're dealing with paralysis, partial paralysis, where you can't move yourself, a plate can do that for you. So you've got to think about where you're going to use it. If it's going to be, 200 meters down the hall in the basement, you're not going to be using it regularly. If you're looking at using a plate for symptom management on a regular basis, you want something that you can have regular access to, because I want you using it regularly. Whenever those symptoms present, could be 5, 10, 15 times a day, but it might be for just 1 to 2 minutes at a time. So if it's 40 pounds and it's upstairs in the bedroom and it takes you 20 minutes to get up and down the stairs, you may want to start with a smaller compact plate. Start moving and feeling better. Keep those symptoms improving, the pain decreasing, the swelling going down, before you maybe down the road consider something a little bit more substantial. Just a thought on that one. What kind of space are you putting it into? This is an important one we don't always think about. We get so excited at the price online and, oh, there's a discount. And oh my goodness. If you're living in a 300-400 square foot apartment, your walls are paper thin, you may not want to go for the Relaxa vibe. It's probably going to be half the size of your living room. If space is not an option or is not a concern, you've got a dedicated workout room, you've got a massive living room, it really depends on you. So these are things just to consider where you're placing the plate if you are putting it in a dedicated spot. If you do have neighbors and you're looking at a larger plate, there's all kinds of ways that you can mute sound. But I will say a lot of times, guys, the additional noise that you're subjecting your neighbors to is more related to how you're using the plate than the plate itself. And that's where some of our coaching sessions will come in. I'll drop some sessions after I get off the live here. Last but not least, if this is your second machine, a lot of people are looking at a second machine for seated use, for use at the office, for travel. So I would lean towards something a little on the smaller side if you know you're using it just seated. What I would pay a little bit more attention to is what you're sitting on. So if you're very, very tall and you're just going to sit in your office chair or a regular chair, you could be a little downhill with the hips. So make sure that you bring the feet a little bit closer and not subject those hips to too much action. But it really depends. If you're finding, that you've got an opportunity when they're little, you can usually pull them out and stand and hit that lower back. A little more total body effect is always better in the long run. But you will find the compact ones if you're working in an office space. Maybe you're a therapist on the go or a trainer and you want to be able to take this with you and use it with your clients, even for warm-up, recovery type purposes. The new Nano is an awesome choice. The Vibra Pulse, anything in the 15, I'm going to say 16 and under category, and there's quite a few that are in that capacity. It's just more a matter of what kind of features you want. I'm going to lean towards the Cosmo Plate because it's on killer price right now. It's got the Bluetooth speaker if that's of interest to you, and it is a little bit better shape. It's got that square presence if you do have larger feet or you want to stand a little bit wider with your feet. And it's going to be a better fitness compact if I were to give it any credit that way. Keep in mind there's different weight capacities on the smaller plates than the larger. And just think about what your must-haves are. Do you want the Bluetooth? Do you want portability? Were you looking maybe forward to the therapy bumps? There's different reasons that you might be leaning towards different models. One is never the best or better than the other. It really depends on your personal intended use is what a lot of it boils down to. And as I said, for a lot of how you use this thing once you get into your living room, I'm going to be here live a few times over the next couple of weeks with those type of things. I do offer a crash course the first of every Saturday, or the first Saturday of every month. I do an open house. And if you did have any questions, maybe you have some thoughts to think about, I hope I offered a little bit of insight. It's not a matter of, this machine is best for osteoporosis and that one's better for lymphatic drainage. A lot of this is how these machines are marketed, but it's how the internet has been structured that forces us to put certain baits and terms to get you to even find the product. But I do want you to know any benefit you seek, any benefit you've ever heard about related to a vibration plate is absolutely true and possible. It relates more to what you're doing it on and being consistent about doing appropriate things for the goals that you're trying to align in using your plate. Oscillating is the bare minimum movement I recommend having. All of Lifepro's models, with the exception of the Vibra Voice, which is, like I say, more of I would say that's more of a complement or a second machine. If you're just getting started in vibration plates, the best bang for your buck and the best investment of your time is going to learn oscillating. And a lot of the lessons that you learn in using one movement type, basically, the moves are universal. They translate to other movement types. And from there, you can decide what feels good for you. Just make sure that you're consistent and mixing things up regularly. Keep your body challenged very passively just by changing things up a little bit from week to week. Okay, I need a beverage, and I want to see if anybody has any particular questions. Before I went live, the feed that you should be seeing me through is the main Lifepro page. I did do a share to a couple of groups, including the VIP. But if you did have a question, whether it's related to the plates or maybe something that you're considering for Black Friday, you've got lots of time to ask questions and make sure that you're making an informed decision. Make sure you're on the main Lifepro Facebook page if you want your question to come through to me. And there is about a 20-second to 1 minute delay depending on where you're making that comment from. I want to see who's here with me tonight. And if you are joining me, please say hello. Alexis has, hello, Dave, again. Judy's here. Nice to see you. Wanda is here. Nice to see you, Wanda. Pamela Walker is here. Shelly is here. Well, thank you guys for joining me on a Thursday. And there are a few of you coming in and out all the time. You certainly do not need to say hello. And as I said, if you are shy and have questions, you can certainly drop me a question directly at Debby with a Y. For sure, if you tag me, I'll get a notification. Sometimes if the discussion gets going, I don't always get notified. Shelly has a question. Shelly, do you use each of them during the week? I don't use all of them all the time. Because I specialize in vibration plates, I'm very fortunate to work with Lifepro, and I do work with a number of medical grade plates as well. It is very much a physical experience. So when I'm supporting you at home, some of my own clients, I feel my path has been that touch and feel and verify. I have all these little crazy tests that I do myself, and Lifepro is generous enough to allow me to vet their vibration plates for accuracy, feel. They're very receptive to my experienced feedback. And because I do work with just such a big stream of users, it's nice to touch and feel and give you guys just my honest feedback on these plates. I don't talk or recommend anything that I haven't personally spent some time on. I do have a couple of faves though, Shelly, if I were to give you my, and it keeps changing because Lifepro keeps coming out with new plates. But if you watch any of my personal sessions, 9 out of 10 times I'm either on a Rumblex Plus or I'm on the Lifepro Mini waiver. And those are the two that I've got stacked over here in this corner. My new boyfriend, I'm really loving the Vibro Pulse. I work with a lot of elderly home care clients, many of them with neuropathy, and I got to be honest, it's manageable on my back, and I can throw it into this big crazy shopping bag that I use. I've also been carting around as of recent the Nano. And the Cosmo Plate I just opened today, so I haven't had much time to play with it, but I can stand on a plate and tell you what frequency it's going, how much amplitude. It's just, I've been doing it that long. There are some basic parameters around the specs of these machines, but over time, the features, the nuances and the movements, the variations have really, really evolved. And, you know, if anyone out there is saying anything negative about any type of vibration plate, movement type in particular, they are either trying to sell you something or they are misinformed. My contraindications are very, very minimal. Contraindications are not a can't or a contra can't do. You know, they're an indication to seek further clarity. So, you know, regardless of what health struggles you may or may not be dealing with, there's always a way to modify and change how you use a vibration plate, no matter what type you're using, to suit the body you're using it with. So whether that's, you know, reducing mass, reducing dosage or time, you know, there's always a way that you can use a vibration plate therapeutically, very often even to bridge the gap until you can get to a place of resuming some of your regular activities and therapies. So it's a matter of finding someone experienced in navigating how to apply the tool. So it's very easy to overdo it. Be conservative on your time and your intensity starting out. And please, 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 over the course of this week, reach out to me if you do have questions. Do a tag on this feed, and then I can come back with questions here for anyone else that may have similar questions, or we can get the conversation going in one place. Last year, I was trying to keep up with several posts in several places that really, in a lot of ways, were very related. So I thought I'd get this video done early on. So you are only limited by your imagination, your range of motion. And this year, there are probably twice as many different vibration plates to choose from. I will be here next week, Thursday or Friday, I'm not sure yet, on vibration plate deals, as well as Lifepro Black Friday deals. So there's going to be lots to talk about next week because, oh my goodness, there's so much red light and so many different things. No wonder I talk so much. Thank you for being patient and listening to me ramble. I always love spending time with you guys. Happy Black Friday shopping. Compare on Amazon between sites. You know, if you have any questions, reach out. There's lots of time yet, but don't wait too long. Inventory may be limited as we get closer to the sale. So have a great rest of the night. Thank you, Megan, for your questions. Hello, Deborah. Great name, of course. Thank you again, Shelly. I hope I answered your question. Pamela, Wanda, Alexis, Judy, Dave. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you guys next week. Don't work too hard. Get shaken and start shopping.